See, words not more than 4 to 5 letters are almost more than 5,000 crore in number in Sanskrit. Again, I repeat, 5,000 crore words are possible in Sanskrit which are not more than 4 to 5 letters. Not to speak of the compounding of words. See, Murari, a poet, a very ornate poet, he says, Shivadhanus, Katyayani Kamuka Karmuka. Shivadhanus means the bow of Shiva. Shiva is Katyayani Kamuka, the lover of Katyayani, and his Karmuka bow. See the alliteration, Katyayani Karmuka, Kamuka, Karmuka. Like that. One moon, full moon, Jayadeva says, Diksundari Vadana Chandana Bindu Rinduhu. So much of alliteration. Well, ridiculing Durvasa, when he got irritated by the smile of Saraswati when he erred in recitation of Veda, he scolds Saraswati like anything. One phrase he uses, Duralabdha Vidyalava Lepa Durvidagdhe. Duralabdha, wrongly got, Vidyalava, a tiny piece of knowledge, Durvidagdhe, being arrogant with that. You, Saraswati, being arrogant of getting wrongly attained a bit of knowledge. But Duralabdha Vidyalava Durvidagdhe, the phrasing itself is so beautiful, much better than a praise. Ignorant people may take it as a line from Lalita Sahasranama also. So, and Chando Vijnana, according to the mood, the meter, the varieties, the variations, all are very important. Drutavalambita meter has an entirely different effect when compared to Sraddhara. Rasikata sikatarpita varivat. Na 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 na. That's how the meaningless sounding pattern it goes. Takita dhim taka dhim taka dhim taka. Against this, na 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 dhittam tam tam dhigetam taka dhimitikatam dhikkatam tam tadhittam. It's so bombastic in nature. Ukti pratyukti marga krama parichayva nasti kaschid vipaschid yadyasmin swasti tasmai budhavar samito bibhyad abhyagato bhut bhankurvad bheka kukshim bharisho bhaya bharod bhranta bhogindra subhru bhruna bhramshi kimambha panishu patagarat sambhrami bambramiti. If that is uttered, you just feel that something bombastic is going on. A person, a poet like Uddanda is challenging Vedanta Deshika. This is called auditory imagination in the language of T.S. Eliot. Even before understanding the meaning, you feel it. In music, it is possible, and true poetry it should be possible. Because you should not depend upon the exploiter and the exploited, the social justice, the women liberation, that, this and all. It is stupid. Nothing, just by the sound and sense itself, you should have so much. This is the classical art and this is the classical beauty, and there we have Chando Vijnana. There are many treatises of meter and Desha Bhasha Vijnana. See, we never ignored regional languages. The oldest treatise on aesthetics, that is Bharata's Natya Shastra, deals many things regarding different languages. He says, not just human languages, languages of animals. Ati Bhasha, that's the supreme language of the gods. And Arya Bhasha, the language of the cultured people. Bhasha, the common tongue. And Vibhasha, the dialects. And Yonyantara Bhasha, the languages of the animals and birds and plants, like that. And Sanskrit is called as Bhasha in the work of Panini, not as Sanskrita. Means Bhasha, that is spoken. Sanskrit was a spoken language since long. And many people wrongly think that Sanskrit was never spoken. It is utter stupidity. No artificial language can create poetry. Anybody has written any poem in Esperanto? Any epic or play or novel in Esperanto? An artificial language? Can it be ever possible? Impossible. To bring out the emotions, we need a natural language, and Sanskritam is a very, very natural language. And all the poets, all the Alankarikas, they say, The great aesthetician Anandavardhana in Dhvanyaloka gives example of best poetry, the Prakrit Gahas from Gaha Sattasai. The colloquial poetry, colloquial language poetry. Prakrita is not a different language, it is spoken Sanskrita. Many people, the champions of Buddhism and Jainism, and in their name, the so-called secularists, the brigands of communism, they all come and say against Sanskrit, saying that Prakrita is a great language. How come Prakrita is a great language? Yes, it is a great language, it is dialect of Sanskrit. I know both. I compose verses in both. I can extempore compose verses in all varieties of Prakrita and Sanskrit. So I am so confident of saying that. Not all those people, they don't know head and tail of Sanskrit or Prakrita. They can make any sort of hypocritic statement. Here I am saying, for example, you just take two sentences from Kannada. ನೀನು ಅಂಗಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬೇಗದಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಅಕ್ಕಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಂಡು ತಾ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್. ನೀನು ಅಂಗಡಿಗೆ ಬೇಗ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಾ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕೃತ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಐ ಶಾಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಒನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಕೃತ. ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಐ ಶಾಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ. ತ್ವಂ ಶೀಘ್ರಂ ಆಪಣಂ ಗತ್ವಾ ತಂಡುಲಾನ್ ಆನಯ. ತುಮ್ಮಿ ಸೀಘ್ರಂ ಆಪಣಂ ಗಹೇಮಿ ತಂಡುಲಾಣಿ ಪಾಪಯ ಆಣಯ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕೃತ. ಏಷಾ ಸುಂದರಿ ಕಂದುಕೇನ ಖೇಲಂತಿ ಅಸ್ತಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಯಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಎ ಬಾಲ್. ಏಸಾ ಸುಂದರಿ ಕಂದುಯೇಣ ಕೇಳಂತಿ ಅತ್ತಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕೃತ. ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್? ದಿ ಹಳಗನ್ನಡ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನೋ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಹೊಸಗನ್ನಡ. ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಟಾಕ್ ಸಂಗಮ್ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ರಿ, people who know modern Tamil just alone, they cannot even understand the head and tail of Sangam poetry. People who speak Hindi, they cannot make out what is Tulsidas Ramayana. When that being the case, they agree all that is Hindi, all that is Telugu, all that is Kannada, all that is Tamil, but not Sanskrit and Prakrit. This is spoken variety, spoken dialect. In different regions, different provinces, the dialects were different. In Maharashtra, it is called Maharashtri. In Shaurasena Pradesha, that is near by the Mathura, Agra and other places, it is called Shauraseni. In Gujarat, Lata Desha, it is Latiya. In Bihar, it is Magadhi. In Uttaranchal, it is Ardhamagadi. Like that we have in different provinces, it is called by different names. And you know, Sanskrit never went by any province. And it went by the spirit. And the Prakrits, naturally, they occupy different places. Like Karnataka, Kannada, Tamil Nadu, Tamil, Telugu Nadu, Telugu, something. So our poets and our scholars and our linguists and our aestheticians, they hail from all parts of India, from all sects of society, from all religions, yet they converge at one point of rasa, dhvani, auchitya and vakrokti. These are the things which are beyond the biases. And accordingly they worked. A poet, a scholar, critic like Dandi in Kanchipuram, he is echoed and defended by another scholar, poet, grammarian, aesthetician, Vamana from Kashmir. And Bhamaha, another Kashmiri scholar, is challenged by Dandi, the same Dandi. And a work of Badarayana on the slopes of Himalaya near Badrikashrama is commented upon by people like a Kerala Shankara, a Tamilian Ramanuja, a Kannadiga Madhvacharya, a Telugu person Nimbarka, another Telugu person Vallabha, and another Bengali Baladeva. Like that it can happen. All the Vedas which were revealed on the Saptasindhu, banks of Saptasindhu, were commented upon by people like Sayana, Mahidhara, Bhattavaskara from South India. It went on. Kalidas of Ujjaini will be well commented by a Telugu man like Balinatha. And this is there. And they have no biases. They are so open-minded. They never went by caste, community and creed and provinces. All that is nowadays menace. And Kshemendra clearly says, one should become poet if a person is desirous of becoming poet. Giteshu gathaswata desha bhasha baddeshu datyat shravanam nitantam. One has to lend his ears to all folk songs of all regional languages and patet samastan kila Kalidasa prabandhan, and one should read all the works of Kalidasa. See, they were never blind and manic towards a thing. they had broad-based understanding. Rajashekara says the best form of the best aspect of a poet is to become Kaviraja, and he is good enough to wield his pen in any language. He should be treating all languages alike. And he was so. He wrote like that, and he says, poetry has nothing to do with gender. Striyopi kavi bhaveyuh. Even women can write very good poetry, and he quotes often and often from his wife's opinions and says, Evamiti avanti sundari, omiti yaya variyaha. So says Avanti Sundari, wife. And yes, is the opinion of Rajashekara. Like that he says. How many husbands can endorse their wife's opinion even today publicly? I am saying these are some of the wonderful features. Correct, Deshabhasha Vijnana. They knew so much. And then Kavya Samasya Purana. Somebody had asked in what they expect in this course. One person has asked, tell about Avadhana. These are some of the aspects of Avadhana. Samasya is a riddle-like line, one line, and the riddle will be solved, literary riddle will be solved by supplementing 3 more lines in the same meter so that it will become a monolithic verse, accordingly done. Once in Bhoja Prabandha, Bhojaraja, he just uttered Gulu Guggulu Guggulu in the court, just some meaningless sound. Immediately Kalidasa, though Kalidasa is not a court poet of Bhojaraja as per history, it's only a romance, it's only a fiction. The work is very good, but the historicity is completely not present. He said, Jambu Phalani Pakvani Patanti Vimale Jale Kapikampita Shakhabhyam Gulu Guggulu Guggulu. There is a beautiful lake. Next to it was a tree of jambu fruits, and a monkey in joy and merry mood started shaking the branches, and the ripe fruits, they fell and made sound gulu 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 in the waters of the lake. So this is how once in my Shatavadhanam the same samasya was put forward and solved in a different way. Bengaluru pure nityam jala bhava abhibhadite eravah kadapi nale syat gulu gulu gulu. In Bangalore, always haunted by the scarcity of water, somewhere, sometime in the taps, we have the sound gulu gulu gulu. Like that, that is Samasya Purana. And Dharana Matraka is memory technique. Whether it is really possible or not is a big question, but the thought about that associative memory is certainly possible. In my Avadhanams, often and often people wonder, how can I remember? Even today, one gentle lady came to me, how you have read and how you remember that. Nothing special, nothing unique, very ordinary. My memory is rather poor. It's an honest confession. It's associative memory. If one poem is recited, I will be in one of the parts of Avadhanam, one of the angas of Avadhanam is Kavya Vachana. One classic will be chosen and a poem will be recited, verse will be recited. I have to identify the author, place and the poem name and explain that. For that, how we go? If we remember the whole work, tuck, immediately I say. If not, first is in which meter it is. For example, it is in Drutavilambita Chandas. It's a Sanskrit verse. It's not of Kalidasa. It's not in Raghumsha 9th canto. So Kalidasa has used in 9th canto Drutavilambita meter, so it is not in Raghumsha. Well, it is in Magha's Shishupala Vadha. No, the style is not of Magha. It's a highly jarring, very, very cranky style, hard nut to crack. Then it should be Bharavi. Bharavi has used in the 5th canto of Kirata Arjuniya this particular meter. So I will be going by associative memory. So by diction, by the word order, by the meter, and all these things. So associative memory, that's very important. And that has been dealt with as an art. And then Prahelika, the riddles. In Sanskrit, there are very beautiful riddles. And they are so well constructed based on the language itself. One example I shall give you. Natasyadihi natasyantam yastishtati madhyame tavapyasti mamapyasti yojanati sapanditaha. It has no beginning, it has no end. It always stands in the middle. Me to have, you to have. Who knows that is a scholar? This is one meaning. By this meaning, none can solve this riddle. The real meaning is Na is the beginning and Na is the end. Ya is the mid letter. Me to have, you to have, and that is Nayana. So, this double entry is so well used, and in no other languages we have such riddles. So, language used to the highest extent to know the capability of a language and exploit the linguistic features of mind, one has to learn Sanskrit. Having learned classical Greek, classical Latin, and I know these are the few best classical languages existing today. The finest is Sanskrit. Greek and Latin not even can attain the ankle level of Sanskrit, let alone knee level. They can't even go to the ankle level. It's so wonderful. And then Pratimala is the Antyakshari. I have written an article itself on Pratimala. Antyakshari is a wonderful play. I wish people could perform Antyakshari. It's a beautiful way, and many ways are there. Many sophisticated rules are there. Two people from Czechoslovakia, they came to India, and for 1 year they did research on Antyakshari. In Kerala, how it is present, and how today in Malayalam they are practicing it and all. They gave that research work also to me. But in front of an art like Ashu Kavita, Samasya Purana, Avadhanam, Antyakshari is child play. But even that has become difficult nowadays. And Akshara Mushtika Kathana means only vowels will be given, consonants will not be. We have to associate the consonants and recite the verse. Example: Uam, Aam, Eum, I am, Au, Am. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam. Uam, Shuklam. Like that. In my Avadhanam, I have done several times Akshara Mushtika Kathana as one of the Angas. They'll be giving the vowels, and according to the topic given by them, I will be fitting new consonants and producing a new verse. Durvachaka Yoga, tongue twirlers. Vaschare Dvaja, Dagdradrod, Dudupatir, Graive, Ekabradaraha, something like that. It is said, the Ekasandhagrahi, a person could remember, if anything uttered at once, he will remember and reproduce. Dvisandhagrahi, twice, Trisandhagrahi, thrice, like that, therever. And to vanquish their valor and vanity, it seems a scholar composed a tongue twirler and presented, which no one could recapitulate and recite. Once it so happened, I have an impish quality, rather I had. Even today the traces may be remaining, who knows. One Jain Muni had come, and he is a nice person, Muni Rajkamalji, and he performed one type of Avadhanam. And there this is Ekasandhigrahi. Means once a verse is uttered, he will reproduce. I asked before the Avadhanam, could you recite any verse? I know that Ekasandhagrahi cannot be applied and employed at any situation, any critical way. It has certain limitations. He said, any verse. Then I composed a verse, a tongue twirler. He had to get 17 times from me, but he couldn't remember that. These are the Durvachaka Yogas, and Vatsyayana gives that. I have given these Durvachaka Yogas of my verse and others in my thesis also. And Manasi is mind reading. That's one thing. The other one is by questioning, arriving at the answer. 20 questions like that and all. I remember in the first day, one of my esteemed friends and artist, Srimati Anupama Hoskere, was present. She has developed with her children, with the children whom she teaches puppetry and all, by putting 20 questions, arriving at the character of Mahabharata, like that. So these things were Indianized, but they are earlier Indian itself. In the arts itself, we have Manasi. And then Sampatya means one person will be reciting something, the other person will move the lips so that as though he too reciting the same, it will make a feeling. So that Brahma is created. These are all called the 12 Sahitya Kalas. And then Gita Kalas, Gita, song, and Vadya, instruments. We know we have several types of instruments, Ghana, Tata, Avanadha, and then Sushira, the wind instruments, Sushira, the percussive instruments, Avanadha, and the hard instruments like the Ghanta and all, the Ghanavadyas, and then the string instruments, they are the Veenas. There we have many, the Dhanurvadyas, the bowed instruments, and then the plucked instruments like the Veenas and other things. And then we have the Pustaka Vachana, that is the recitation, or what we have Gamaka Vachana in Karnataka or Vachakamu in Andhra Pradesh. So the reciting poem or singing poem beautifully. Song is different, singing a verse is different. For me, at least, to my taste, the best form of recitation of the verse has been developed by the late Ghantasala of Telugu film field. And in Karnataka, I think one person by name Chandrasekhar Kedlaya of Brahmavara, South Canara, he is the best in Gamaka Vachana. With all emotion and suitability of raga, it has to be sung. It needs understanding of literature and erudition in music too. And Veena Damurka Vadyani. It means how to prepare, build the instruments, repair them, and all that. Means one should be practical enough to do all these things. Then we have the arts connected with Nritya and Natya. Nritya and Natya. Nritya. We have Nritya, pure dance, and then Natya, theatrical performance. Where a theme is developed, that is called Natya. Where there is no theme apart from the articulation of the body, that is called Nritya. And then Natakakhyayika Pradarshana, that is play, presentation and all. Nepathya Prayoga, makeup and costumes. And Chalita Yoga. Chalita Yoga is fancy dress. Here in costumes we have so many things. The costumes are Abadhya, which are wound around the waist and other things, sari, dhoti and other things. Aropya, like the bangles and all, which are just worn. That is Aropana, means that is placing and moving above. And Kirita, or the diadem, the crown. And then Prakshepya, means which are sprinkled like perfumes. And then the colored powders, the shining powder and other things, they are sprinkled on the body. And then Abadhya, tied, whether it is the kanchi, the girdle, or else the bracelet, something like that. That is the Abadhya. And then Avedhya, the pierced, the earrings, the studs and other things. All these things, and even the coloring. We have so many such things. We have to go to our traditional art, whether it's Kathakali or Kuchipudi or Yakshagana or Nautanki or Chav or Purliya Chav, Mayurbhan Chav or Sarakallam Chav or Bihu, whatever. We have so much of colors. Every character is represented there wonderfully. All that is. And Bharata deals a lot about those. And even the costumes. Then we have the painting, that is called Alekhya. And how to prepare the painting slab or the canvas on the walls as murals to paint. What are the methods taken care of? In Vidyaranya's Panchadashi, a great work on Vedanta, we have one chapter itself where the parallels from paintings are taken and Vedanta is explained. There in detail he gives the features. And in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, we have the Chitra Sutra section. We have the wonderful aspects of painting and development. And we did had realistic painting. And we have Rasa Chitra, the highest aspects of painting. And then the Vidya Chitra, the more imposing ways of painting. And then the Vainika Chitra, the lyrical ways of painting. And Nagar Chitra, the more urbanized way of painting. And then the Vastava Chitra, the realistic painting. And we have to add something more to the reality, and then only it becomes art, as Hiriyana says. And that's why realism was used at only some specific areas, especially in the depiction of trees, creepers, animals, birds, and other things. In human forms, we have to stylize it. In stylization, the situation will be more elevated, and the abnormalities are reduced. Then we have Shilpa and Vastu connected with their Vastu Vidya. Vastu Vidya is no way connected with the modern Vastu. Vastu Vidya means it is architecture. And Taksha Karmani, the carpentry. And we have the Murti Shilpa also, Takshana, that is imagery, the iconography and other things. And then we have in Lalita Vistara, Kavya Vyakarana, grammar, Lipi, the scripts, the hundreds of scripts are developed, those scripts. And Akhyatma, how to explain a poem, how to comment upon that, and how to give a pravachanam and exposition on that. Nighantu, again lexicography. And then Alankara, about the imagery, figures of speech and other things. And Vidambitam, mockery, that is also one art. And painting is also called as Rupa and Rupakarma. Then we have the cosmetic arts, Nepathya Prayoga, that is makeup. Shekharaka Pidana Yojana means how to read the garlands and how to hairdo the things and how to have different types of hair dresses, these things. We get, for example, one particular headgear, using the hair and using a big ribbon, that's called Kokilaka Shekharaka Pidana. Means like a cuckoo, she cuckoo, the headgear is shaped using the black hairs and a white ribbon. In the Chaturbhani we have the reference to. It is tied in such a way that we know a male cuckoo is dark in color, but the female cuckoo will have white patches when the wings are opened. So the ribbon will appear here and there, like the white patches, and the rest of the hair will be tied so that on the head a female cuckoo is sitting. Kokilaka Shekharaka Pidana. Shekharaka means headgear. Kokilaka is cuckoo. Apidana means embellishment, like that. And you just look at the Shilpas, whether the paintings of Ajanta or the images found in so many classical art period, we will be finding many headgears. And Bhushana Yojana, jewelry. And Visheshaka Chedya, different types of tattoos, starting from the paintings on the forehead to so many other things. And then Karnapatra Bhanga, again the facial, how it will be done. And Malya Grathana Vikalpa, wreathing different types of garlands. Tandula Kusuma Balivikara, that is connected with Rangoli, and Pookalam of Kerala, what we call such things. Pushpastarana, Pushpa Shakatika, flower arrangement, Ikabana. And training the pets for pastime, Shukasarika Pralapana, training the peacock or a cuckoo or a parrot, myna and such things. And then utilitarian arts, they are Shayana Rachana, preparing the bed, Manibhumika Karma, preparing the ground, and then making inlay art and such things, Gandhayukti, perfumery, Rupya Ratna Pariksha, that is gemology, and then Maniraga Akarajnana, that is connected with metallurgy and mineralogy, and Dashana Vasananga Raga, that is preparing dyes for using lipstick, to use in lipsticks and facials and other things. Suchi Vana Karma, tailoring and needlework. Pattika Vetravana Vikalpa, that is preparing furniture out of cane and bamboo and other things. Taksha Karma, of course, carpentry. Dhatuvada, metallurgy, alchemy. Yantra Matraka, preparing mechanical contrivances. And Balakridanaka, toy making for child play. And then the Vajnaniki Kalaha, using science, Indrajala Yoga. Indrajala, magic was developed as a great art in ancient India. And Chitrashva Yoga, it is one thing. Creating illusions like horses moving on the stage, elephants moving on the stage, like that. Vichitra Shaka Yusha Bhaksha Vikara Kriya Pana Rasaraga Asava Yojana. It is all connected with food and beverages. Supashastra. We have many books on food and cookery. We have Supashastra, Pakadarpana, Pakashastra, Bhojana Kutuhala, Kshema Kutuhala, and so many parts of works on medicine, whether it is Vangasena Samhita or Chakradatta Samhita or the Brihatrayis, everywhere we have. And even the encyclopedic works of Someshwara is Manasollasa. And then the Shivtattvaratnakar of Basu Bhupala, we should be proud of that because both the works, encyclopedic in nature, hailed from Karnataka. Here all we find these things. And we had both vegetarian and non-vegetarian cuisines. All are accommodated, and many hot and soft drinks. Many hot drinks are there. Kapishayani, Maireya, Aikshavi, Madhvi, Gaudi, Paishti, and many proportions and combinations. And even in perfumery also. A very great scholar and encyclopedia writer, Varahamihira, in his Brihat Samhita gives a lot of details, and even his commentator Bhattotpala is a wonderful work by itself. And that has been translated by M. Ramakrishna Sharma, I think, from Karnataka. He has done English translation in 2 volumes published by Motilal Banasdas. Brihat Samhita is a very readable work. It's a beautiful example of poetry and Shastra. It's an encyclopedic work of Gupta era. And then we have there Vrikshayurveda. Of course, I told yesterday about that. That is dealing with gardening, grafting, and treating the plants, medication, and then the other ways of producing commercial and non-commercial crops. Kauchumar Ashva Yoga. It is to bring back youthhood. How to? That is called Kayakalpa. And Vajikarana. Kauchumar Ashva Yoga is that how to look young, preparing that in and out. And then Vainiki Vidyajnana, connect with management and administration. Often it is called an art, that one. Vaijayiki, how to win people and how to become victorious, like that. And then Vyayamiki, connect with martial arts. There we have Udaka Ghata, swimming, Sutra Krida, using thread or rope and making all sorts of manipulations. In gymnastics we have using a ribbon. And in Malkhamba, we have a mobile Malkhamba that is using a rope, and rope tricks are there, that one. And then Dyutak Visheshaka, different types of gambling and dice play. Akarshak Krida, it is connected with other types of what we call Pagade, Kavade and all that, such things. And then Mesha Kukkuta Lavaka Yuddha Vidhi, making animals and pet birds fight each other. The cock fight, bull fight, goat fight, and such things. And Hasta Laghava, whether it is burgling, it's also one of the arts, or whether it is using the fingers and making some shadow play, we don't know exactly that, or using the hand and doing lot of tricks. And Nimitta Jnana, it is connected with Shakuna. And Vastra Gopana, that is protecting the clothes and proper way of washing and maintaining. Like that, now you can see a big canvas of so much of variety. And even we had in ancient India many things of past time also. Every season we had different things. According to the seasons, different houses were built. In rainy seasons, different houses. In winter season, different houses. The dimensions, the height, elevation, all such things have been given. And also which type of indoor and outdoor sports they have to play. And we used to celebrate life like anything. Here only I get frustrated very much. All our champions of religion, they don't want to revive these things. All our champions of Hinduism, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, XYZ and all other things, they don't want this. And the institutions also, they are completely blind. They want to arrange only Upanyasas connected with Brahma Sutra, the Gardhapa Sutra and Shunaka Sutra and like that. Nothing. Hell with that. Apart from reciting Ramayana and Mahabharata and the Vedic hymns like parrots, they don't know anything else. They don't want to know anything else. All our Sanskrit pathshalas are rotten like this. They don't want to revive all these things. And even the corporate world is completely blind because our scholars are unable to tap them. See, our people enjoyed so much. Start from Vasanta. See, have you heard anywhere on the globe purchasing or producing mangoes in the season of mangoes, going to the market and purchasing, or going to the garden plucking them, coming with basket full of fresh mangoes, good juicy mangoes, offering it to God, sharing with the friends, and celebrating as a mango day. Navambra Khadanik Utsava is one festival. We present festivals and we observe festivals like all Rathas, Gauri Habba, Ganesh Habba, Deepavali, everything. But no such things. Like Navambra Khadanik Utsava. And then Kunda Chaturthi, bringing jasmines, fresh jasmines from the market or from the garden, wreathing them as the garland, offering to gods, wearing them, sharing with the friends, and enjoying, roaming around. This is not for children, this is for grown-up. We have lost that. Many times people say that Indians always looked at the heaven and they never cared about the earth. Did Greeks perform this? Did Romans? Unfortunately, they didn't have such beautiful fruits. In Homeric epics and in Greek literature, olive is prized and olive is eulogized so much. When I went to Greece and tasted olive, oh God, what a bad experience. A nightmare experience that is. Why we need crave in front of that? A temperate country, can it have anything beautiful? Nothing. People praise, oh, what beautiful place, what a beautiful terrain is Switzerland and all that. No variety at all. Our Kabban Park is far better in variety of flora than that. Why I am saying this? We celebrated life like anything, and unfortunately, the secular brigands who are adhering to Laukika, secular literally means Laukika, they don't want this. No R.S. Sharma, no Romila Thapar, no Irfan Habib, no Girish Karnad, no Anant Murthy, nobody come in this area itself. They don't want this celebration. They want only bottle party. They want to become MPs and MLAs and Rajya Sabha members or even ambassadors. Nothing more than that. I get so frustrated by that. Nobody is in need of these things. And Kadamba Yuddha, during the rainy season, beginning of the rainy season, advent of rains, the Kadambas, they blossom fully. And having the Kadamba flowers. Kadamba flowers are like golden balls. They are like the ball badminton balls. Fighting mutually with that. Throwing that. It will not hurt. Beautiful. And Navodaka Grahanotsava. When the fresh waters, they flood into the rivers, taking them in different vessels and worshipping them and preparing food out of that. Likewise, when the first paddy comes from the fields, it is celebrated as a festival. Agrahayanishti is that. Yesterday I told about the yagas. Agrahayani is that one. And even today we have that. It's not just Brahminical. Puddari or Huttari. Huttari of Kodagu or Pudari of coastal Karnataka, we have that. And payasam has to be prepared out of that, the fresh grains of paddy. And then we have something like Panchala Anuyana. The dolls are brought and they are married, and the marriage celebration of dolls. That is the great grandfather of our Navaratri Utsava. I have written an article on that. So many beautiful things are there, and they celebrated all these things. One has to turn the pages of Dr. V. Raghavan's festival sports and pastimes of ancient India. You will be knowing. In Tamil Nadu, there is one sport, child play, and that is called Mallavandhu Gillipo. In my childhood, I used to play. That is mentioned. That practice is there. And then Manon Mani. Has anybody seen Kallata like that, throwing the stone and then catching it, 5 stones and all that? And that is called Manonmani. It has so much of Vedantic undertone there. Mana Unmani Karana means making mind attain higher and higher level. That is the ascent of the mind. We throw that, and before it comes, the rest has to be catched up. When the mind is pumped high, projected high, before it falls down, we have to do the rest of the things. Means when our moods are boosted up, When they are still in that stage, we have to do so many other things which are possible within that purview like that. So that is how the training of the mind is associated with that. Like that, I can go on and go on with this. I am untiring in that. I am an advocate of Indian culture, practitioner of Indian culture. In that sense, the spirit and life of it, for that, I request you, instead of reading the wretched Upanishads, you read Kalidasa. I remember one thing, better than Shankara, Kalidasa has advocated Advaita through his works. I am not denigrating Upanishads, they are nobler. But enough of that. You go to Ramakrishna Ashrama, you can as good as bad as going to a smashana. No life there. The same thing with all mutts, whether it's Shankar Mutt or Madhva Mutt or Ramarja Mutt or whatever mutt. We don't have life at all. Last week I had gone to Sringeri and went to the Patshala. It is like a beautiful corpse, Divya Shava. No life. Because they have never related to present day. Never related to body. Body and mind, they have to work together, is it not? In that sense, I feel in poetry we have that. In Sanskrit language we have that. Coming to Sanskrit language as such, language becomes inevitable only when it has to do something at the level of form. No amount of your Shastras, whatever Shastras you read, Tarka or Vyakarana or Mimamsa or Vedanta or Jyotisha or whatever, we don't have. In translation also we can get. In any German translation of Newton's Principia, you will be getting something inferior when compared to the original Latin or any faithful English translation. No. But only in poetry we mean so much. Because the form itself is content. They are not separable. That's why you listen to Kalyani Raga in flute, at the same Kalyani Raga in violin, and Kalyani Raga played on veena, Kalyani Raga on organ, whatever. Everything is different because in art, form is content. That is possible only in poetry. And once you want to learn Sanskrit, you want to mean something in Sanskrit, it is only in poetry, not in Shastras. Only in faith we have Veda. By recitation itself you get punya. Punya is adrishta. Who knows you got punya? Or because of wrong pronunciation you would have got papa also. Who knows? But kavya is drishta phala. Then and there, now and here. So there are champions for the sake of Sanskrit for different purposes. Sanskrit used for computers, nobody knows. I know. It cannot be used, it will not be used. And many of my good friends who are well versed in both, they do agree with that. For all these pseudo reasons, for all these filthy reasons, for all these reasonless reasons, we should not and we need not and we shall not learn these things. For that sake, for the beauty of it, which will be felt now and here, we have to know. In that sense, I think my party is single man party. I am the president, I am the secretary, I am the only member, I am the lone person. Well, no problem. Even the Brahma before creation was Ekaki. Well, why I am saying this? We should not be carried away by different things which are ultimately leading to materialism. Kripanaf phalahetavaha. It is for that sake, Datavyam iti yad danam diyate nupakarane deshe kale cha patre cha tat danam satvikam viduhu. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Jnatavyam iti yad jneyam deshe kale cha patrataha. That is jnana and that is Sanskrit. For that, I think the approach is very important. That approach is objective, at the same time full of emotions. Whole concept, integrated approach to Sanatana Dharma, which is inseparable with beauty. For beauty is one of the best dimensions of the Tritiya Purushartha Kama. So all our aesthetics, they go to that. And Kama, without violating the norms of Dharma, is the very nature of the highest truth. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshaba. That's why none need feel apologetic when he or she is enjoying judicious pleasures of the world. both in the form of art and craft and comfort. Well, with this I conclude. My only suggestion is this much. If you want to carry this further, you make smaller and smaller groups, because more the number, lesser will be the quality. My friend always used to make a comment, camel is a horse produced by a committee. So when many people involve, if one-to-one interaction is not possible, there will be little useful things will turn out. That's why make smaller groups. More than preaching anybody, try to study. That's why you study some basic texts. For information, you need not go to Sanskrit. For inspiration and enjoyment, you have to go to means. For if you want to learn any originals, it is better poetry, Kalidasa, Vyasa, or Valmiki, or whatever. I don't say that one should not read Upanishads or Agamas or Puranas in original. I have read all that in original. My knowledge of secondary sources is rather poor. My strong forte is in primary sources. Yet I feel that first you take up language for beauty and then go to information, no problem. It all depends upon one's time, capability, commitments and other things. So with this, I take leave. Thank you. Ganapati and his friends, and of course you people, you spared for me 3 of your precious weekends. Thank you.
If you have been sort of able to conduct this program so regularly and so well organized, more than half of the credit should go to Sri Ramu and his staff. Very courteous staff, from the day, we essentially sort of met with him and his staff, rather though they do not work on Sundays, and Gokhale Institute, I believe, does not conduct programs during daytime like this, and that too for the staff also to sort of, they never had a day off for the last 3 weeks. Right, for us it's weekend, for them it is only Sunday that they get off. Usually they do not have programs on Sunday evenings also, but this time it was Sunday afternoon, and for 3 to 3.5 hours for the last 3 weeks. I cannot express my thanks and gratitude enough, and Sri Ramu, and he's so silent, such a silent force behind all this. I sincerely salute him, on the entire behalf of this our team here. Secondly, I definitely want to formally thank the Youth for Seva and the Spiritual Bengaluru coordinator, Sri Venkatesh Murthy. He is not here, he is in Lucknow today, and his wife Parimala Murthy is here. It is through their efforts that rather I have been able to sort of send out these regular reminders, and you have been getting the notes, right? Even that's been distributed via their infrastructure, and the SMS reminder that's been coming has also been possible because of the infrastructure that YFS has created, and the initial flyer also got distributed, and many of you essentially got to know about this program through their mailing list. Thanks to YFS as well. I do not usually thank my good friend Venkatesh Murthy, so I spare him here. Definitely, all of you, and the day we started, in about 2 weeks, we had close to about 213 people registered, and we had to unfortunately stop the registrations. I had assumed that in all 200 would be here right till the end. At least half of us have been here continuing. Sincerely sort of thank my good fortune for that, right? And thank you all for staying committed and staying. And I know that it is not easy for us to be sort of sparing 2 days for 3 weeks continuously. So in essence, we too have been working for the last 3 weeks, right? But I can certainly say it's been a wonderful experience and a very valuable, right, learning, from Guru or Shatavadhani, Doctor, Guru in the sense learning as a teacher. Okay. So I do know that he does not like much praise, so I spare him as well. And I can only say this. Sorry, sir.
Rather the word Guru because he.
Okay, actually, in this, I only felt. I used to ask my grandfather once in a while, Tata, when you were, he was born in 1900. By the time we got independence, he must have been already sort of middle-aged person. Had you seen Gandhi? Had you seen sort of Subhash Chandra Bose? Had you attended any of this Satyagraha or any of these movements? Because you were contemporaries. Of course, he never had, because he stayed in the village. Then I imagine I would definitely be telling my grandchildren that, I had the good fortune of being the contemporary of Shatavadhani Ganesh. Okay. It is no mean achievement. I sincerely mean it. And it is such a blessed feature that I have, that he addresses me and others as his friends, right? We don't need any other, better coronation than that. Thank you, sir. Thank you for, sparing your time. I do appreciate, how busy you are, and even to know the names of so many books, we take so many years, and let alone reading them. Okay. So I still vividly remember this particular incident in about 7 years or so ago, when I got first acquainted with Ganesh ji. I went to his home about 6-7 years ago, and he has a library at home, really sort of a stack of books. Just kind of very innocently asked him, sir, there are so many books here. Have you had a chance to at least go through them at least once? Is it more like your ancestral, right, a library and so on? He said, in fact, they've all been collected, and I must have read all of them at least once, right? And on day one, somebody sort of inquired him, sir, are there good books about Vedas? And he was at loss to answer that question. He said, there are enough number of good books on Vedas, must be about 700 of them. Then I sort of asked him, 700? Have you been able to read them? Yeah, I must have read them at least twice, and some of them have been read at least more than 2 times. So that is a kind of, he kept talking about this word, kept coming in his lectures, erudition. Possibly in our daytime, at least I do not know of any other person who has such an erudition. Thank you so much, sir. And if we have not been asking any questions and challenging, and that's only because this is a foundation course, and we came here sincerely knowing that we do not know, and we do not know enough. And we really do not have the guts to say that we know anything either. At least after 18 hours, I can certainly say on behalf of this team that we know at least something. We definitely appreciate the approach and the path you have shown us, and the great list of references and the books you have recommended. At least a few of us will essentially begin reading them, and you have rightly suggested we will form smaller teams, most like maybe study groups. I do not know what form it will take. I was discussing this with the Ramu in the morning. Even before I asked him, he said, Bunny sir, we can do it, right? So once in 15 days, he said, we have a smaller room, if it is about 15 or 20 people, we can certainly have a study group kind of, right? Or those are interested in continuing, okay? And this time around, that will be an opportunity to challenge him, okay? Sincerely, basically meaning, so far in these, rather 3 weeks, 18 hours, we have been sort of listening, learning, and trying to sort of really comprehend what we have been listening. I was trying to sort of make notes. I must confess that I don't think I have been able to capture even 10% of what he's been saying. Even if I had known shorthand, I would have possibly captured another 10% more, no more than that. Because every sentence that he essentially threw at us, right, had specific content, distilled content in it, and it will be our endeavor to sort of go back to the notes and to listen to the voice notes, the recording, and to sort of make, each one of us, right, will have interest in different spheres and different, in the first lecture itself, he basically kind of distilled this when he said, our real fundamental value that Indians contributed to the world is these 3 words, as he, attributed that to Professor Raghavan, Brahma, Dharma, Rasa, right. In these 3, right, maybe sort of people here have affiliations toward different parts of this, and so be it. And we will form smaller groups, and depending on his availability, and we will definitely sort of show some commitment and learn. At least only then we start preaching. Until then we don't. Okay. So with that, I sincerely thank him again, and thank you all for continuing to be participatory. And in fact, I was just trying to count statistically how many questions we had. Till a while ago, we had as many as 32 questions that were essentially written, and Dr. Ganesh sort of answered them. Thank you all for participating so lively. Much appreciate. With that, I would like to sort of honor him this phala. I request him to accept.